everyone, my name is Bhushan Rokade and today my team's project topic is Note app. So basically what Note app does is it keeps track of our notes. It performs CRUD operations on MongoDB like insertion. Let me show you. Here we have inserted a note into the database. After that updation, here we have updated the note that we previously inserted into the database and deletion. So we deleted the note that we just added and updated as well. So let's get into the backend code of this. So at first we have Express.js working as a middleware between our database and the front end. So you can see here we have imported Express from Express and Mongoose. Mongoose is the SDK provided for Express.js by the MongoDB. And here we are connecting to the MongoDB database, which is located at our localhost address, and the database name is DB. So you can see that how we are generating the backend code. After that, we have defined routes. Routes are basically the endpoints which we can use to perform certain operations on the database, which are popularly known as API, Application Programming Interface. So, how do we change the data that actually goes into the database or control the data? For that, we have a controller. What controller is? A controller is an entity which performs a certain set of tasks on an entity. So let's get an example as a node. So what the task we can perform or what operations we can perform on a node. Like we can get all nodes from the database, or we can add a node, or we can update a node, or on or we can just get one node, or we can just delete a node. So the all of these operations about the node entity are defined in this node controller. So node controller consists of the methods which we use to perform a certain operation on that particular entity on the database. So here in the routes.js, we have declared all the routes which we need to call when we are on the front end as an API, so that the particular task gets performed into the backend. So here are all route name all nodes. What it does is it gets all of the nodes from the database into our front end. Another one is add node, what it does is it adds a node into the database. Another one is node details. The node details particularly gets a node information from the database using its ID. Update nodes updates a particular node. For that we have to pass an ID parameter to it. Delete node updates a particular node from the database. For that we also have to pass a ID parameter to it. So there is also one concept we have used called schema. What schema does is, uh, we all know that MongoDB is an unstructured database that can cause data inconsistency into the database. For keeping the consistency into the database, we have to use schema. What schema does is, whenever we are updating or inserting any data into the database, schema checks if that data is in correct format or not. If it is not in that correct format, then the data won't get added to the database, or the data won't be updated into the database. So that is the importance of the schema. So this was our backend. Let's get into the front end first. Our app starts as app.js, which is the starting point of any React app. In that we have declared a browser router. What browser router does is when um, we add a URL into the browser into our project, then it renders a component particularly for that URL. Uh, for that we have to declare the routes. Uh, we have to specify path of that URL for which we have to render a specific element. So here for slash means a landing page. So our default path would be the home. After that, for add URL, we have to render add form element. For details URL, we have to render node details element. And for details, for getting the details of that node, we have to specify the ID of that node. And we are passing it through routes.param param function. For editing a particular node, we have to pass it the ID as well. After that, we've got our pages called add form, in which we add the information of a node into the database. Edit form, in which we edit the information of a particular node into the database. After that, home is the landing page of our project. Node details, in which we see the details about the node, particular node. In the add form page, we have got Axios. Axios is a library used to handle API requests. This is the used to handle API requests. So this is all from our project. Thank you.